Hello everyone and welcome back to another Anything Joe's Unboxing. My name's Greg and I'll be your unboxer for today. Today we're taking a look at the 1/18th International Scale Croc Master with Fiona. That's the name of his crocodile. If you're not familiar with these figures, they're not available in the US. You have to have them imported, and that's exactly what I've been doing at great cost, unfortunately. Let's take a look and see if Croc Master lives up to the cost. First thing I notice about this Croc Master is, of course, that it is using the exact same art as the classified Croc Master does. You know, we've always said that it's kind of an unofficial rule that these figures have been very loosely based off of the classified designs, and we've seen that time and time again, and this is no exception. Not just the art, but the fact that the crocodile has the same name, something that we had not seen before. Anywho, this is in a larger size box. It's the first Exquisite Hiya G.I. Joe figure that is not just a figure on card, and that is, of course, because of the crocodile. We can see the G.I. Joe logo. The name of this line is Exquisite Mini. It's developed by Hiya. We've got a warning. Sorry, kids under 16. I think that's what that means. Can you imagine being a 16-year-old not being able to handle this toy? Art is reused on the top with the G.I. Joe logo. On the back, we have one large diorama picture that fills over to the back and then is covered up with a gigantic blurb here. He's there. This is what he looks like over here. Some shots in action that they've used on the website. Nothing of notice there, and hey, once again, man, you get your money's worth, I guess, if you've licensed it out. All right, so let's open this guy up, see how he holds up under pressure. The Croc Master figure himself looks great, is extremely well detailed. You can see, let's start at the top. We've got his standard black mask with, he's got some like red eye shades in there. And here's his breather, which you might remember has a hose, which we see attaches to this backpack, which was pre-installed on him. All this was exactly how he came out of the box. Here's our Cobra logo insignia, which is true to the original. And then this kind of like crocodile skin top. They've added a lot of like weathering, great use of color to like, as it kind of changes. Oh, even more so, you look around the back. All of that, like, it just has a crocodile vibe, right? You truly believe that this is built from a crocodile skin. Even though the lower parts in the back are a little bit of a variation, this green is very faithful to the original Croc Master, I feel like. Of course, his iconic belt buckle crotch piece, well known for being the crotch that I used on my globulus when I didn't want to have him on a tail. This looks dead on. They've added some silver and brought this green down a little bit. We've got two little yellow tags here. A couple little pouches. The belt itself is pretty straightforward otherwise. We've got bare arms, just like we would expect, with some, this one is a silver bracer with a black hand, and then he's got a green one for some reason on the other hand. Joints on these are very similar to a classified figure with a few exceptions based on scale. We do have butterfly joints here. There are, I don't think this is double pinless based on the range and the posability, but you can see that, so there is a bit of a limitation compared to what we're used to with modern. His arm can go all the way back, but there is a bit of a stretch on how far he could get it back if he was holding a shotgun or something. We do have this bend on the hand that goes up and down. These hands come out and are interchangeable, which we'll look at in a second. Same thing over here. So that's the torso. Here's a holster on the side that has a little gun. This again was also pre-installed. Let's take a look at it, just since we can knock it off. Just a standard little revolver, really well detailed. Looks like actual, you know, damaged metal, varnished metal. All right, we'll tuck that back away. We've just got some pretty basic black legs. They've got some kind of like knee pads right here. Same on the back. And then at the bottom, we have our off-color green boots. He has a knife, which I'm assuming is removable. And then he does have foot pegs and the Hiya logo with the 2025 production date from Hasbro. Whee! Not a ton of accessories with this set. We do have two interchangeable hands for holding leashes, guns, crocs, croc babies, whatever you want. Here's his hook, which again mirrors the classified style. Good for hanging meat, Joe's, disobedient crocs. Another faithful homage is his whip. I wish it wasn't curled up like this. I don't think that will display all that great because it would kind of hang in the air. But to each their own. And then I think this is kind of the best piece of it. It's an actual, like, this is his leash for his Croc and the handle. He's using an actual, like, keychain material, like real metal for this, not just some plastic crap, which I think is a very nice touch. I like the little spikes on the collar as well. Let's take a look at Fiona. Here's your standard base and attachments, which come with pretty much every Hiya toy, so you can build a little bit of a doll. Here's Fiona herself. We can see that her green matches the darker green on Crocmaster. Pretty solid mold overall. I mean, like, it looks very good for what it is. There is some posability on the mouth.
Hey, how you doing?
And there's some posability on the legs as well. Looks like, oh, the whole body is segmented. I didn't realize that. So you can, it has a bit of a wiggle. Not a lot, but it can be moved. And the same with the feet. You're not going to get a ton of movement out of it, but it could handle a little bit of some dicey terrain. No other accessories to speak of, but can't have Crocmaster without a Croc, right? And this is a pretty good one, honestly. Of all the Crocs we've got, especially in this scale, it's pretty well detailed. Let's take a look at how Crocmaster looks compared to some other Crocmasters of his time. See how he holds up. Here we have the brand new Hiya Toys 2025 Crocmaster. And here we have the classified Crocmaster. You don't have to be a genius here to see that the similarities are very, very, right down to the different colored bracers, the extra green beneath the codpiece, the placement of the weapons. I mean, it's a true and true. I mean, like, they did it basically verbatim. It looks exactly like it, which is super cool, right? That's part of the reason I like this line so much, is that I love classified, but I'm a 4-inch scale guy. So it's like best of all worlds, essentially. Here's the original V1 Crocmaster, whose hose fell off as I was getting him off my shelf, which is why I don't play with my vintage figures much anymore. You can see what I was talking about with the green, how this green is much more faithful to the original. The silver and bracers are there. I mean, this all lines up, right? They pretty much matched it verbatim with the exception of the color change. So kudos across the board. And lastly, even though there are many modern Crocmasters to choose from, this is the one that I chose because I felt like he most accurately represented the vibe we're going for. And again, it's extremely faithful. Down to the bracers, you know, the Crocmaster's design really hasn't changed much over the years, I suppose. And so hopefully you didn't want to redesign. Here's our most recent crocodile, Fiona, from the Hiya Toys line. Here is her larger namesake, the classified crocodile that came with Crocmaster. Here is the modern crocodile, who also has an immovable jaw. Here's the original Croc that came with Crocmaster V1. Here's another one. He's just dirtier for some reason. Here's the Croc that came with the Rock for the movie Rampage, which I had been using in this same scale. Here's a Croc that I just found and I don't know what he's from. He's just a random Croc. But he's the right scale and he fits in. This is a Outback Steakhouse Croc that they put in your drink as a part of the novelty. And so I took it home for my kid. Here's the second one, also there. Here's the third one. Do I have a drinking problem? And then here's the last one. This one's brighter green, but it's the same mold. I got a lot of Crocs. So just to give you an idea on scale, Fiona is a little bit, is a little bit larger than your standard modern Croc. They've sized it up a bit, but it's nowhere near the scale of some of these other bigger Crocs. This Crocmaster retails internationally at $34.99. And you're probably going to expect to pay close to $10 to $12 for international shipping unless you have a good hookup. But if you do, hit me up because I'm looking to get these as cheaply as possible, and I'd like to get almost all of them. I genuinely enjoy this line tremendously. They've had some difficulty with the head molds. There's a Flint over here above me that notoriously has a pretty bad face, but a character like Crocmaster who's wearing a mask it doesn't show through at all. I also thought there were some quality controls issues with this line, kind of in the middle part where stuff was just falling off a little too easily. I'm not, I mean, I put it through the rounds reasonably and it held up well, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I think this line is maybe turning around. This is a tough one if you're looking for a yay or a nay. Should I buy it or shouldn't I? Because I think the cost is a little too expensive. I know you get the Croc, so there's extra value there, but these are already so much. I'm really not looking to buy a bunch of extra junk that I don't want. When they inevitably come up with every other character that has a classified pet, they charge $34.99. I'm gonna have to stop collecting something, and I guess it's gonna be this. So use your own, it's up to you. How invested are you in this line? Do you really like the pets that they come with? I just don't know that I'm going to get a lot of use out of that one. But I didn't want to turn down any characters, especially still because this set is still kind of early, and figures that got away, like I did not get a Snake Eyes, and that's a $100 figure now. So I'm just like, I'll get them while I can in case they get worse, which would be, they're hard to get regardless. Anyways, that's my recap of the Hiya Exquisite Croc Master 4-inch scale figure. I'd love to know thoughts on this line. I know there's not a lot of people buying, covering, or unboxing them, so my plan is to continue to do so as long as I can afford them when they come in. I'd like to know people's thoughts on this line in general. Where are my Hiya toy collectors at, and how do you feel about how the line is going right now? You can leave us a comment here, or you can drop us an email at anythingjoespod@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to talking to you next time, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.